Dido, Queen of Carthage by Christopher Marlowe. Characters, Summary, Analysis. Hello and welcome to the discourse. Dido, Queen of Carthage is one of Christopher Marlowe's earliest plays, likely written between 1585 and 1587, possibly in collaboration with Thomas Nash. It dramatizes the tragic romance between Dido, the legendary founder and queen of Carthage, and Aeneas, the Trojan hero destined to establish Rome. Drawing primarily from Virgil's Aeneid, Book 4, Marlowe transforms the epic poem into a theatrical work, blending classical myth with Elizabethan drama. The play was probably first performed by the Children of the Chapel, a company of boy actors, and was published posthumously in 1594. Although not as famous as Marlowe's later works, such as Dr. Faustus or Tamburlaine, Dido remains significant as an early example of Renaissance engagement with classical literature and a precursor to later tragic love stories in English drama. Marlowe's primary source was Virgil's Aeneid, particularly the fourth book, which recounts Aeneas' stay in Carthage and his doomed love affair with Dido. However, Marlowe expands Virgil's narrative, adding subplots and characters, such as the humorous and risk interactions between Jupiter and Ganymede that reflect Elizabethan theatrical tastes. The play also incorporates elements from Ovid's Heroids, which includes Dido's lamenting letter to Aeneas and possibly medieval retellings of the Aeneas legend. Unlike Virgil's more restrained epic tone, Marlowe's version emphasizes emotional extremes, particularly Dido's passionate despair, while injecting moments of dark comedy and satire. This blending of tragedy and wit is characteristic of Marlowe's style even in this early work. In terms of genre, Dido, Queen of Carthage is a tragedy, but it also incorporates elements of romance, mythology, and political drama. The play's literary style features Marlowe's signature mighty line, elevated poetic blank verse filled with vivid imagery and emotional intensity. Dido's speeches in particular showcase Marlowe's ability to convey deep pathos, while the gods' scenes, such as Jupiter's frivolous dalliance with Ganymede, introduce a satirical, almost irreverent tone. This juxtaposition of high tragedy and playful comedy creates a dynamic tension, making the play both a homage to and a subversion of classical tradition. Thematically, the play explores love versus duty, as Aeneas struggles between his affection for Dido and his divine mandate to found Rome. Fate and free will are also central, with the gods manipulating mortal lives while characters like Dido make choices that seal their tragic ends. The play also engages with gender and power, portraying Dido as a formidable ruler undone by love, a theme that resonates with Renaissance anxieties about female authority. Additionally, the story reflects colonial and imperial tensions, as Aeneas' destiny to build Rome overshadows Carthage's sovereignty, a narrative that may have mirrored England's own imperial ambitions. Ultimately, Dido, Queen of Carthage, stands as a compelling, if underrated work in Marlowe's canon, blending classical myth with Renaissance drama and offering a poignant exploration of love, loss, and destiny. Characters of Dido, the Queen of Carthage. Marlowe's characters in Dido, Queen of Carthage, blend classical myth with Elizabethan drama, creating a tragic love story filled with passion, divine interference, and political intrigue. Dido's emotional depth and Aeneas' conflicted heroism drive the play, while the gods' frivolous behavior contrasts with human tragedy, reinforcing themes of fate, love, and power. Dido, the Queen of Carthage, is the play's tragic heroine, a powerful and intelligent ruler who falls deeply in love with Aeneas. Initially portrayed as a strong and independent leader, she becomes increasingly desperate and emotionally vulnerable after Aeneas abandons her. Marlowe emphasizes her passion, pride, and despair, making her a more psychologically complex figure than the Virgil's Aeneid. Her suicide, a dramatic act of self-immolation, underscores the play's themes of betrayal, love, and the destructive power of fate. Aeneas, the Trojan hero and protagonist of Virgil's Aeneid, is depicted as a noble but somewhat passive figure in Marlowe's play. Though he genuinely loves Dido, he obeys the god's command to leave Carthage and fulfill his destiny as the founder of Rome. His conflict between love and duty drives the tragedy, as his departure destroys Dido. Unlike Virgil's more heroic portrayal, Marlowe's Aeneas is sometimes criticized for his indecisiveness and emotional detachment, making him a less sympathetic figure. The king of the gods, Jupiter, appears in a surprisingly comical and irreverent light. His frivolous affair with Ganymede, a young Trojan boy, contrasts sharply with the tragic human drama below. He intervenes in Aeneas' fate, sending Mercury to remind him of his duty to leave Carthage. Jupiter's indifference to human suffering highlights the play's critique of divine manipulation. Aeneas' mother, Venus, actively protects her son and orchestrates the romance with Dido by having Cupid make her fall in love with him. However, she later supports his departure, prioritizing his destiny over Dido's happiness. Venus embodies the duality of love, both nurturing and destructive. Disguised as Aeneas' son, Aeneas, Cupid at Venus's command enchants Dido, ensuring she falls hopelessly in love with Aeneas. His role underscores the theme of love as a divine trick, making Dido's tragedy feel fated rather than accidental. Mercury, the messenger god sent by Jupiter, orders Aeneas to leave Carthage, reinforcing the theme of fate over free will. His sudden appearance disrupts the lover's happiness, acting as the catalyst for Dido's downfall. Dido's sister and confidante, Anna, encourages her love for Aeneas, hoping it will bring her happiness. Unlike Virgil's Anna, who warns Dido against the affair, Marlowe's Anna is more supportive, making her a sympathetic but ultimately helpless witness to Dido's tragedy. Irabas is a rejected African king and suitor of Dido. He represents spooned masculinity and vengeance. When Dido scorns him in favor of Aeneas, he prays to Jupiter, indirectly contributing to Aeneas' departure. His presence adds political tension to the play. Aeneas' loyal companion, Aeneas, serves as a faithful but minor figure, supporting Aeneas throughout his journey. He contrasts with the more emotionally charged characters, embodying steadfast duty. Ganymede is a beautiful Trojan boy and Jupiter's lover. Ganymede provides comic and erotic relief in the divine subplot. His presence mocks the gods' detachment from human suffering, adding a satirical layer to the play. Summary of Dido, the Queen of Carthage. It is a 5-act play. The play opens with a divine prologue where Jupiter, the king of the gods, is shown frivolously doting on his young lover Ganymede while neglecting his divine duties. This irreverent portrayal of the gods establishes the play's central tension between celestial indifference and human suffering. Venus interrupts their dalliance to plead for her son Aeneas, the Trojan hero whose ships have been wrecked near Carthage. Jupiter reassures her and sends Mercury to ensure Queen Dido welcomes the Trojan survivors. The first act introduces Aeneas and his followers as they arrive in Carthage, where Venus, disguised as a huntress, guides them to Dido's court. The Carthaginian queen immediately shows special favor to Aeneas, setting the stage for their tragic romance. The second act deepens the developing relationship between Dido and Aeneas during a lavish banquet where Aeneas recounts the fall of Troy. His heroic narrative further captivates Dido, though Venus remains concerned that the queen's affection might wane. To secure the match, Venus sends Cupid disguised as Aeneas' son Aeneas to enchant Dido with his arrows. The act also introduces Irabas, a scorned African king who resents Dido's growing attachment to the Trojan stranger. Meanwhile, the comic subplot of Jupiter and Ganymede continues, providing a stark contrast to the emerging human drama below and highlighting the gods' detachment from mortal concerns. In the pivotal third act, Dido's passion for Aeneas reaches its peak as she shares her throne and royal treasures with him. While Aeneas reciprocates her affection, he remains troubled by his divine mandate to found Rome. The tension between personal desire and cosmic duty intensifies when Erebus, furious at being spooned, prays to Jupiter for intervention. The king of gods responds by sending Mercury to command Aeneas to depart immediately for Italy. This divine edict forces Aeneas into a painful dilemma: stay with the woman he loves or fulfill his historic destiny. The act ends with Aeneas secretly preparing to leave, setting in motion the tragedy to come. The fourth act contains the play's most emotionally charged scenes as Dido discovers Aeneas' impending departure. Their confrontation swings between passionate recriminations and desperate pleas, with Dido vacillating between furious condemnation and abject supplication. Marlowe masterfully captures the queen's unraveling psyche as she moves from threats to bargaining, finally collapsing into utter despair when Aeneas confirms he must obey the god's will. The act's climax comes as Aeneas and his men set sail, with Dido commanding the construction of the funeral pyre under the pretense of burning mementos of her lover. This ominous command foreshadows her impending suicide while demonstrating how love has transformed the once powerful queen into a figure of tragic vulnerability. The final act delivers the play's devastating conclusion, as Dido ascends the pyre and delivers her haunting last speech before stabbing herself with Aeneas' sword. Her death is rendered with gruesome vividness as the flames consume her, while her sister Anna and the Carthaginian court mourn their loss and curse the departing Trojans. The play's closing moments show Aeneas at sea, seeing the smoke from Dido's pyre and realizing the terrible consequences of his departure. Though he grieves, he reaffirms his commitment to his divine mission, underscoring the play's central conflict between human emotion and cosmic destiny. Marlowe's adaptation concludes by emphasizing the cruel indifference of the gods to human suffering, with Jupiter and Ganymede's continued alliance serving as a final reminder of the divine realm's detachment from mortal tragedy. So this is it for today. We will continue to discuss the history of English literature. Please stay connected with the discourse. Thanks and regards.